Hey, welcome back to the Potato Museum Show. Tom and Meredith here. We are inching our way forward into the world's history, and we're in the 1990s. Very, very busy time for us. As you can see, MASH, this museum is devoted to the potato. Great illustration by an artist. And then on the right hand side, you can see the assorted entities that really thought we were something.
That
The
idiosyncratic and deadly serious institution,
The New York
Times.
Times and
So,
the New Yorker magazine. Anywho,
so yeah, it's the contrast between the way that the Potato Museum
that
was
wonderful
perceived.
logo, by the way,
Yeah,
was developed by a guy named Walter Landor.
Landor. Yeah, he started Landor Associates. He was born in Germany. He was the probably the most famous logo and brander company and designer, and he had the account at the time for Frito-Lay, and so he was designing. His company was designing all these brands and product logos that Frito-Lay had, and
You may recall that Tom was sent around to do potato shows by Frito Lay
yeah.
all across the U.S.
So I was in San Francisco, and I was invited to come on board the ferry. The Landor Associates headquarters was on a ferry. Excuse me. This is high pollen season, and my throat is experiencing it. Anyway, I was invited to come onto the ferry, Landor Associates, and have lunch with Walter. And I can remember talking about potatoes in Germany. He was from Germany, and I knew a lot about potatoes. So we had a really nice conversation. He said at one point, you need a logo, you need a brand.
Yay!
He said, I think I can help. And he says, come on back tomorrow, and we'll see what.
And look at that magnificent creation.
Yeah. So this is. So here's this the team. I met with the team when I came back. And I can remember it was just right on the boat there, and they showed me a couple of designs, and I picked the round one, and Walter said, "That's my favorite. That's the one I designed, and I approve of your choice." So this is potato picking. This is a potato picker's belt. These people in Idaho, for instance, were bending over, dragging these canvas bags to put the potatoes in, and they had this device that they would attach it to. So once more mechanical picking of potatoes happened, these things were thrown away, or in this case, just hung up behind the barn. So we came along to this farm one time in Idaho, and we saw these items and asked what they were, and they said, "Oh, this was these potato pickers' belts." And
where's the belt? Easy potato picking belt. That's one of our favorite items.
Yeah, and you can see that.
It wasn't that easy, but
No, it made it easier, I suppose, because you were dragging the bag along.
yeah.
So this thing is a perfect example of what museums do and what we ended up doing. Research, collect, restore, preserve, display in exhibitions and publications and educational programs. We've been using this belt with kids, having them recreate the whole backbreaking job of this. And, we along the way, we discovered an important but overlooked subject, specifically potatoes, but generally food. And we've discovered that this is, as you can see here, an artifact-rich subject that the public is really engaged with. So, what's this about, Mara?
Oh my goodness, seeds of change. Out of nowhere, the Smithsonian Museum discovered us.
Yeah, and they wanted to do an exhibit about the Columbus Exchange, and so we participated we participated at the same time in two major exhibitions.
We had enough material in the potato collection to do a major assistance to the Seeds of Change in Smithsonian and the National Museum of Science and Technology in
Ottawa. Yeah, so
literally the same time, the same year, the same month.
So I want to tell you how this came about in Canada. We used to do a lot of call-in radio shows, and as it happens, it was the Canadian interview show that was a very popular across Canada. Everybody listened to it, and I did an interview with them about the potato, and this was a very memorable, I guess, for a lot of people, because look at this, Potato Museum's amazing potato exhibition. What happened was this museum was being reconditioned and had been closed for a while, and they asked the public in surveys what would they like to see in the first exhibit at the newly
Guess
conditioned.
what? It was the spud.
Yeah, and
The potato.
and because just recently the people of Canada had been listening to me talk about the potato.
Yeah,
so
it was all because of you talking to the
well,
people
and
of
certainly,
Canada. Who knows?
Yeah, no, we don't
People
know
love
exactly.
potatoes.
Yeah, but
No question.
this was a hugely influential radio program. So look at this. This is the entrance to the exhibit, and on the right there you can see this sign, and they gave the sign gave the.
I was very busy, by the way, doing this because, coordinating this. These
You coordinated
two
two exhibits because I was teaching full time.
Yeah, and well, where do we get to? Oh, we don't get to.
Okay, so here we are. We were invited to the opening. We were a special guest of honor.
I guess Gull must have been
yeah.
what? How much?
I don't know.
Five,
the
six?
premier of Ottawa. A lot of
That was
dignitaries.
great fun.
We were there.
That was great fun.
This is actually always the standard, I believe, because the designers of this exhibit with our materials made this show something a standard of how to display the potato history.
Yeah, this is from our website, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Foodmuseum.com or who knows, Potato Museum.
But this,
Look at the potato!
The
Remember that one from California?
the fabrication, the
And then there
setup.
was humor. People could sit
They did all
on
sorts of.
sofas and look at little films.
They did all sorts of humor, human interest in crafts activities. So this became a model for the way I think about this whole thing. Here's the design. This is 6,000 square feet, right?
Yeah, over 6,000. Yeah.
Yeah. Here was the entrance here we showed. Just a few more pictures because I'm just so proud of the way they did this. Again, here we are. That's the couch potato part of the thing.
Yeah,
You could sit on these couches. And then this was the view of the.
Pretty intense. Look at the color.
Here's the TV screen. And everything you see in these windows and all this is all from our collection. Every single item.
The Potato Museum collection.
Yeah, Potato Museum. And look at the way the designers did this. I'm still impressed every time I see this. And there's the mandolin, the potato bug mandolin. So one of the features in the middle was a place where chefs could come in and demonstrate cooking. And they had a big mirror up here so the audience could see. Look at these two posters.
Magie de la pomme de terre.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So back in D.C., we were listed in the Yellow Pages as the Potato Museum was spelled with an E, along with the Smithsonian. So we were right there with the big boys of the museums in D.C. So tell us this story, Meredith.
Well, we had an exhibit, as you've seen before, in the bottom floor of our townhouse on Capitol Hill. And we had visitors. They had to come by appointment. And out of the blue, I got a phone call from the Smithsonian people asking, could they come by? And I said, of course. And they literally, I opened the door. They walked in. In fact, they opened the door, come to think of it.
Who's this guy, by the way?
Walked in. That's the guy that got the whole thing going.
Herman Viola. Yeah.
And they just stood there and they went, wow, you've got it. This is it. And bam, we were hired.
Hired to be curators at a major exhibition at the Smithsonian.
I got to work. I worked on that for about 2 years. We did all kinds of things. You want to talk about what the seeds are or not?
Yeah, just the seeds. This was based on a book in which they talked about the influence of 5. They called them seeds, and so the Europeans. This is during Columbus' voyages to America. The Europeans brought diseases, negative. They brought the horse, positive. And they brought sugar to the New World to grow, but they needed people to grow it, so they brought slaves. So those are the 3 subjects that came from the
and of course,
Eastern
there are
Hemisphere.
many more, but this is just part of the book.
The exhibit was just literally 5 seeds. So the positive part of it was the plants that came from the Americas, corn and potatoes. So they spread around the world. And here, by the way, notice the Potato Museum is mentioned as one of the major sponsors of this, along with Xerox, for instance. So we were there in the big boys. Here's the exhibit entrance. This is the potato and corn section here.
But is it time to talk about the corn section or not?
No, so we're
okay.
so the potato section they did this big diorama, and when the show was over, we got these two mannequins. We have them still and using them. A lot of this, all small items, are from our collection, all of them. So this is the potato section. They had these big windows of our artifacts that were nicely displayed. And here's another view. We don't have very good images of this exhibition. These are not great, but tell us about what happened, Meredith, once
Well,
we got
about
going.
2 months before the show was to open, and I had been working on the potato for over a year and a half at least, they called me and they said, Meredith, can you do corn? And I went, sure. Now, this was closer to the time when you could find things online about corn, by the way. Anyway, I did corn. So these two windows convey something about the corn's story.
Yes, and we ended up having, moved on, necessarily added to our interest in collecting things about food, corn, and this became a big parallel collection that we have. Also, here's they had a display of a diorama of this Hopi farmer, corn grower. We got him to send us. So Meredith wrote the article that went into the Smithsonian. It was focused on the potato, but it was the major article focusing on this exhibition.
And the 90.
Yeah, so in 1991, we were hired as curators to have Smithsonian Seeds of Change exhibit, 500 years since Columbus, major exhibit. You can see I'm listed, but Meredith was also there as one of the curators. And Meredith wrote the article for the Smithsonian Magazine, so this was a big deal. She got that article done. And this was the only article that was in the Smithsonian Magazine that
what
was
year
about.
this article?
1991.
Yeah.
So you had the major article about that was promoting this tour, and you see the objects are from our collection. And this exhibit got major coverage. It's the biggest thing the Smithsonian ever did. You can see. Look at this special issue. Newsweek, and we ended up. Okay, so we're going to move on from there. Many things we participated with the focus on the Smithsonian's whole thing, including this Foods the Americas Gave the World. We were part of the seminar.
We did lectures, films.
Yeah, we were
all kinds of
big part of the Irish Roots
Festival.
Fun.
It was fun.
We did a big lecture about both of the tubers. This was. So we, and here's a list of some of the other things that we were involved with associated with the Smithsonian's Seeds of Change. That summer, the Smithsonian Folklife Festival out on the mall focused on or featured Peru, and they brought up from Peru the entire contents of a shop and the farmer's stuff. And so we got all these foot plows and all that, and lots of other materials that this farmer would have had, including this bag here, which are very rare. When I took this photo in Peru, they were switching from this cotton or wool bag to a plastic bag, so this was an important contribution to our collection. One of the things they brought up was these reed boats, because out in these lakes in the high mountain valleys, the farmers would move from island to island where they were living and also growing potatoes. When these reed boats, were sort of decaying, they would need more space to grow potatoes on these little islands, so they would plant the potatoes in there. So we had moved by then to Northern Virginia, and were expanded into other foods. And this article is reflecting that we were focused on expanding our awareness and the public's awareness of food. And we were written up. Look at this, Potato Eaters. This is a nice little book, little museums, describing what we were doing and the programs that we were doing. So the programs we were doing actually were at the Wild Oats Market. Wild Oats was a Boulder, Colorado-based company. Had a couple stores in Albuquerque, and they were very community-oriented. In fact, they called themselves the Community Market, and they had a monthly newsletter. Notice this, by the way, every month 5% would be donated to our thing because we were doing these exhibits, these kiosk exhibits on all these different subjects, which we started collecting. And these were in-store kiosks, pop-up collections. We were kind of pioneers in this kind of a concept. I'm very proud of the work we did. Not only were we collecting seriously chocolate.
Well, we still have all these items, by the way.
Yeah,
they comprise the Food Museum collection.
That's a whole nother show. Anyway, this is, here's all the chili pepper stuff, for instance. So as collectors, we realized that, again, it's another subject that people, the public loves. So again, this is a very community-organized, community-centered company, Wild Oats, and every month they put out a calendar of all the activities, and there you can see the program that we were doing in the store. We did these programs in the store, and then look, we were doing a discussion group also in the store. Meredith was every different food item that we were doing. Meredith would be doing cooking demonstrations right in the store. By the way, there were 2 stores, so we were running 2 different kiosks with 2 different.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just crazy.
This company was briefly bought by Whole Foods.
Yeah.
But that didn't continue. So
one of the features that we did, look at this this mother. Part of the thing was to make sure that the exhibit was at kids' eye level. There was lots of hands-on things for kids to do here. They're grinding corn. And we also had this program in which kids could roam around the store and find different items, and then they would bring it to the customer service place. So it was very kid-oriented, family-oriented programs. And one of the most popular things that we were doing, the program, was Chocolate Chili's Corner of More Foods in the Americas, which we took all over New Mexico, actually all over the West, this program. And in this case, it was sponsored by the New Mexico Humanities Council. And here we are, some of our programs. Planet Potato, we just talked about. Chopsticks, Forks and Fingers. Everybody likes rice. Big, wonderful program with a huge collection of rice. Lunchtime Around the World, Chocolate Chili's Corner, we just talked about. And Hippo Anyone, What the Ancient Egyptians Ate, and one other program, What's for Dinner. So these are these programs that we took around the state and did in the store.
Couple of reactions to our programs. Here's one. Students need to see history as more than just battles. Your work helped them see that cultures are continually changing through contact with other cultures. And then this one. Your subject, food history, is so rarely presented. It fascinated us all.
All right.
Yay,
so you can see a lot more of those endorsements from parents. We were also contributed to the research for 2 articles about the potato in 2 different major magazines. The National Geographic, we participated in a huge amount of the research, and they mentioned us in the article. And then the New Yorker magazine, E.J. Kahn Jr. did a series on food staples, and one of them was the potato. And we were very helpful in directing him to all sorts of leads. And then the fact checkers at the New Yorker, I spent about an hour going through the whole thing. And there's the write-up about what he included about us. Now, Meredith, you were contacted to do a series of books based on your food stuff, and here's we're going to... Meredith, tell us about your award-winning books with these catchy titles.
Hi, it was in the 90s, and Lerner Publishing asked me if I'd be interested in doing a series of books called Plants We Eat. And of course I said yes. And it was great fun because I had a lot of freedom. I could choose the titles. Yes, we have bananas, which I thought was funny. Cool as a cucumber, hot as a pepper. And I had a lot of freedom in terms of what was going on inside the book. Quotes up front, little sidebars of it's a fact. And where is the thing? Oh, and there they are. But there's one, and they did wonderful illustrations to go with it, each book. And then this I loved. France is circled, and I was able to talk about the French Emperor Napoleon III, accredited with introducing tomato dishes to France in the mid-1850s. So it had a lot of movement, these books, and a lot of, look, see, little extra stuff. It's a fact. Anyway, they did very well. They won a prize.
And they are a serious thing in children's libraries and school libraries.
10 of them.
And look at how well made they are, how well bound they are.
They are. And then after this, many years later, they asked me to write a book about the health, history, and ethics of what we eat. I would not have titled it Plants versus Meats. A lot of people eat both plants and meat, of course. But anyway, it was fun again, working with the 21st century books. I thought that was learner. Well, anyway.
It's a division.
A division of.
So one of the most popular programs that we've been doing is Planet Potato, and this is a flyer that shows that we were sponsored by the Albuquerque Library System. It went all over the library, but we took this program all over the Southwest. No space was too small for us to do an exhibit. This is at the Central Library with our things. We were invited to participate and be a part of two major fairs, one in California and one in Missouri. And this is the report on the one that we did in Alameda County Fair. You can see, look at that Andean foot plow that I got from the Smithsonian Folklife Festival, which we've been recycling and showing audiences. Also, about that same time, I was invited to come to San Francisco and promote a skinny, some sort of product from Campbell's, a soup that would make skinny mashed potatoes. And it was at Mel's Drive-In, which is just a local icon. And Dee Dee Sharp was there. You can see her with me. She sang her signature song, "Do the Mashed Potato." I had these people dressed up with mashed potato hats, and it was great. And I got to official proclamation of National Mashed Potato Month, November 1996. So the programs that we've been doing with kids continued, even though I was full-time teaching, and I always brought these artifacts and the kids, and you can see the hands-on activities that we're going to be talking in the next show. But we always had activities involved with math and science and hands-on stuff. And you can see some more pictures of this. One of the most popular programs also was lunchtime around the world, and we had these lunch boxes and things that we would show kids. And at the end of each program, I had this digestive system that I would not take out, it was like 20 feet long, and the kids just loved seeing me spill my guts, as it were. And again, we did programs, Native American schools for elementary school kids there, and then we also did programs with high school kids. This one was at Navajo Pine High School back in the far western part of the United States. Again, I was teaching full-time, and one of the things I was doing was coaching homeschoolers to participate in the National History Day, and my son and his friend won the New Mexico documentary film category, and they had interviewed our friend John Niederhauser, who was an important person in the history of understanding potato blight. And and then I was running this independent group tutorial. It's called The Porch, and our students got involved in all sorts of interesting projects, including Model UN. At the same time, we were growing potatoes in our garden, and here's Son Gully and his friends out there in the potato field we had. I was invited to go back to Belgium to bring a whole exhibit and give a lecture. I don't know how I got all this stuff on a plane, but I did. We were consultants to a bunch of movie films, and this one, for instance. And we loaned a lot of our collection about the Irish to this exhibit in the Museum of the City of New York. The exhibit was called Gaelic Gotham: A History of Irish in New York, and this is the letter appreciating our contribution. We continue to visit places and eat different things. This is New York and on the right, left in New York and California. Continued collecting unusual objects. We tried to get a poster of the potato varieties with 10-speed press, but that didn't work out, and you can read what happened there. So we moved to New Mexico. We brought my mother along with all of our collections, and we set up all the objects that we got from the Smithsonian Folklife Festival about Peru in the Maxwell Museum of Anthropology on the UNM campus. Here's New Mexico and Albuquerque, famous for hot air balloons, and a friend of ours did this design. Interestingly, we haven't been in D.C. for many years, but the Denver International Airport still thinks we are, and you can see here it mentions that the Potato Museum, one of the things they love about America, is in D.C. So, you want to do this?
What am I doing?
A huge turning point was when our friend,
Oh.
New Mexico computer pioneer Gail Kinsey, and her son Eric Horowitz got us online. That was a big deal right at the end here. Actually, mid 1960, I think, 1996.
No.
Here are early versions. Apparently, in 1996, only 2 museums had websites, the Smithsonian and ours, and we went on to create in the 21st century a lot more online stuff. So finally, this journalist got it right. We have been talking about why not museums about food? Also, there's museums about war and weapons. Go ahead, Meredith.
Well, our main topic right now, especially, is that food is about eating. It's about what do you do before you go out and do your job. You have to eat first. MFK Fisher, one of our favorite writers about food, was quoted as saying, "First we eat, then we do everything else." So it's not about, quote, food. It's about feeding ourselves, eating, so that we can function, so that we can work, so that we can solve problems, so that we can take care of our families,
Right.
etc.
So
So that's my new
she's
eat.
So
thing.
she's quoting here is that we use these food topics to capture attention, the audience attention, to address among other concerns how to feed the hungry in a crowded world, food safety, water conservation, saving our heritage.
How to feed ourselves.
All right, this has been the longest show that we've ever done, but again, the 90s were a total packed thing. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you in the 21st century for a couple more shows about the 50 years that we've been pursuing the potato. Thanks for joining us.